Thing go. Okay, there we go. We're going to be talking about today about realistic thinking. Realistic thinking. That might be, that might say, well, I think realistically. You really do. But the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. So how do we employ realistic thinking? When you start understanding, when we always talk about the 7 laws of wealth, we always want to talk about the 7 laws of wealth. We always want to talk about a mindset. We want to talk about a mindset. To change your thinking, we have to change our mindset. The 7 laws of wealth always deal with the mind. When you talk about number 1, wealth begins in the mind but ends in the pursuit of long-term direction. It's a mind thing. Decide that you will not be poor. You have to do that in your mind. Believe in thyself when no one else will. You have to believe that in your mind. To thy own self be true. Find your unique gift. That's a mindset. How may I serve thee? Mindset. Thou shalt own thy own business. That's a mindset. And make thy money grow. So when we talk about time for a reality check, let's check how we think. Let's see if we really think realistically about things. The first responsibility of a leader is to find reality. Well, reality is the difference between what we wish for and what is. See, we could wish for a lot of things and think that's reality, but what is it? We must engage in realistic thinking if we're going to solve problems and learn from our mistakes. People always say you learn from your mistakes. Well, that's not necessarily true. We don't always learn from our mistakes if we keep making that same mistake over and over and over and over and over again. So reality is what is not what we wish for, but what is it for real? Realistic thinking will allow us to solve problems. If we will learn from our mistakes, if we continually doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, are we really thinking realistically? Are we, because we're not solving this problem that's in our life, we're not learning from our mistakes? I encourage leaders to think realistically. We make realistic thinking the foundation of our business because it derives certainty and security from it. So you're certain about what you do when you deal with reality. You're secure in your thinking. Okay, so why should you recognize the importance of realistic thinking? So here we go. Watch this. If you're a natural optimistic person, as I am, you may not possess great desire to be a more realistic thinker because you're optimistic. You think everything is la-di-da-di, help somebody, do all that stuff. But watch this. But cultivating the ability to be realistic in your thinking will not undermine your faith in people. You see, I always tell people if it has feathers, it quacks, guess what? It's a duck, but we keep calling it a cat because we want somebody to get something. I have a tendency to want people to be more entrepreneurs than they want to be for themselves. To be more, want more for their business than they want for their own business. So, it won't undermine the optimism, the positive, nor will it lessen your ability to see and seize opportunities. See, when you think realistically, you can see and seize. You have the ability, watch this, to take advantage of opportunities. Instead, it will add value to you in other ways. Realistic thinking will add value to you in other ways. And I'm only going to do 4 tonight because I don't want to keep you on too long. Realistic thinking minimizes downside risk because listen, sometimes realistic thinkers, big picture thinkers like ourselves, entrepreneurs like ourselves, we understand that sometimes not taking a risk is taking a risk. So realistic thinking minimizes downside risk. Actions always have consequences. Realistic thinking helps you determine what the consequences could be. Hello? That's not being a pessimist. That's just understanding that that I'm getting ready to do something, but if it don't work out, this is what could happen. I'm just going to be realistic. There's consequences, and that's crucial because only by recognizing and considering consequences can you plan for them. So you have to have a contingency plan. And it looked like I'm freezing up. I think am I freezing up? It looked like you should have a contingency plan. If you plan for the worst case, scenario, you can minimize the down risk. So I'm trying to see if I'm froze up. If you got, am I froze up? If somebody tell me I'm froze up, can you just type it in? You froze up? Because I see that I'm not moving right now on my picture. So let me see what's going on here. Let me stop this for a second. There goes my live. So I'm froze. Wow. Wow. So this is always happened to me when we do good feeds. Okay, I'm not frozen. Okay, let me get back to this then. Since you say I'm not frozen. Okay, if I'm not frozen, let me go on back to where I was. Okay. Number 2. Oh, now it's frozen. Okay. Am I unfrozen now? No, I think I'm still frozen. Oh, you can hear me? Long as you can hear me. Can you see the outline? Can you see the outline? The PowerPoint? If you can see the PowerPoint and not see me, I'm good. Somebody type it, I can see you. Okay, you can see me? Okay, all right. So listen, so when we, okay, I can hear you. So listen, number 2, realistic thinking gives you a target and a game plan. Realistic thinking gives you a target and a game plan. Watch this. Realistic thinking leads to, watch this, excellence in leadership and management, because it requires people to face reality. I'm gonna say that again. Realistic thinking leads to excellence in leadership and management because it requires people to face reality. They begin to define their target, what they're targeting, and develop a game plan to hit it. When you always talk about entrepreneurship, you always talk about demographics and what is your niche, what is your target population? Who are you targeting, and what plan do you have? Because you're thinking realistically. I'm not going to target a population who has sugar diabetes, and I'm gonna try to sell them candy. You see, I'm gonna be realistically. Whatever problem that I'm solving, I'm going to target the people that have the problem. See, when people engage in realistic thinking, they also begin to simplify practices and procedures. We don't make this thing complicated. It don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. And when you do that, when you simplify things, it results in better efficiency. You see, realistic thinkers understand the difference between the important decisions and those are merely necessary in a normal course of business. See, there's things that just happen on a day-to-day basis. And then there are important decisions that you need to make. There are important targets, there are important strategies that you need to use. The decisions that matter relate directly to your purpose. See, some things don't matter to the bottom line. Some things don't matter to the purpose and plan that God has for your life. Watch this. Until thought is linked with purpose, there's no intellectual accomplishment. Nothing happens until you link your purpose with your intellect, which causes decisions that you need to make that for your purpose. Number 3, realistic thinking is a catalyst for change. Remember I said we talk about change your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. Realistic thinking is a catalyst for change. People who rely or hope for their success rarely make change a high priority. I'm gonna say it again. People who rely on hope, somebody type that in, who rely on hope for their success rarely make change a high priority. If you only have hope, you imply that achievement and success are out of your hands. Well, I hope this will happen. Well, can I make this happen? Can I achieve this? Can I be successful at this? It's a matter of luck or chance. You say, well, I might. So why should I bother changing if I only have hope? Realistic thinking can dispel that kind of wrong attitude. There's nothing like staring reality in the face to make a person recognize the need for change. Wow. To recognize the need for change, staring reality in the face lets you know I need to change. Change alone doesn't bring growth, but you cannot have growth without change. I'm going to say that again. Change alone doesn't bring growth, but you cannot have growth without change. And lastly, I'm just going to do my first four because I'm froze up. I don't know why. I'm glad people can hear. There you go. Those who are at home really make change. Thank you, Brother David. Number 4, realistic thinking provides security. Wow. Realistic thinking provides security. Anytime you have thought through the worst that can happen, anytime that you have thought through the worst that can happen, and you have developed a contingency plan to meet it, hear what I'm saying? You can become more confident and secure because you don't have to worry about failing. You don't have to worry about it not that it don't work, pan out right, because you have a contingency plan, because you already figured out what is the worst that can happen, and this is the worst that can happen. So when that happens, I'm now going to do this. How you doing, Apostle? I'm going to say this again. Realistic thinking provides security. What would you talk about? Anytime you have look, anytime you can think through the worst scenario that can happen to your plan, you will then have a contingency plan, and that will make you more confident and more comfortable and more secure and going after what you're doing. It's reassuring to know watch this. It's reassuring to know that you are unlikely to be surprised if something don't work. I'm going to say that again. Look, when you have a contingency plan, you're more confident and you're more secure and you're more assuring, because whatever happens, you're not surprised because you had already calculated and have a response to that thing. Disappointment is the difference between expectations and reality. Oh, wow. Somebody need to type that in. Look, share this. Hit the share button. Hit the share button. I know I'm frozen, but you can hear me. But listen, disappointment, when you talk about realistic thinking provides security, disappointment is the difference between expectation and reality. I expect something to happen, but reality says sometimes it just don't happen. And because it don't happen, I have a contingency plan to make it happen. Realistic thinking minimizes the difference between the two, between expectation and reality. I expect something to happen. If it don't happen, I'm still good with it because I have a contingency plan. Look, I do apologize for you guys. I don't know why I'm froze up, but I know you all can hear me. Once again, we're going to do part 2 of realistic thinking tomorrow. But listen, we have to start changing our mindset. We have to change our thinking to start changing our life, right? And then I'm going to move forward because I need you to understand the importance of, if you want to build wealth, the importance of credit, the importance of entrepreneurship, the importance of taxes. You need to know that if you have a 650 credit score for the next 20 years, you're actually going to spend $508,000 in interest over those 20 years. Listen, in your life, you're expected to make $500,000 in your life. If you work 40 hours for 40 years and and live off of 40% after you retire. But if you work them hours, if you work those years, it said that you should earn a minimum of $500,000 in your lifetime. So if you earned $500,000 and you gave away $500,000, wow. Think about that. Now, don't get tricked too. For those of you who are in the 700 credit scores, you said, I'm good. No, well, you ain't. You're not good. Believe me, because if you have a 750 credit score over a 20-year period, you're still spending over $200,000 to $250,000 in interest. Yes, at 750, you can get anything you want, but that interest rate is still higher than if we can't push you to 800. So this is the stuff this is realistic thinking. Realistic thinking is, I don't need to stop at 750 because that's still costing me another $250,000 that could be going into my pocket, that could be going to create wealth for my loved ones down the road. How you doing, Alan? How you doing, Willie? You see, that's realistic thinking. Realistic thinking is understanding about income shifting. That I shift all the taxes that people are taking out of my checks and put it back into my pocket because I just developed a home-based business. Now the government says, okay, the government says as an employee, we're going to take our taxes off the top. Where they take all your taxes off the top, then they put it into invested, and then they get all the interest. Then they give you $4,000 or $5,000, but they snatch $30,000 out of your check. But the reality says when you income shift and you make a home-based business, now the government says, okay, we're not going to tax it because you have a business. We're not going to tax you until you spend all your money on your business, and whatever you have left over, that's when we'll tax. It decreases your taxable income. Yeah. So income shifting also teaches you how to lower your debt and increase your credit score. So these are things that we're talking about. When we talk about, credit, you're talking about debt elimination. You're talking about budget tooling, where you actually track your spending. You also talk about wealth manual. We have a wealth manual that will teach you how to invest. We talk about credit building. We're not talking about these credit lines. We're talking about partnering with a bank and getting you a secure CD loan, right? A secure CD loan. As you pay for it over the next 12 to 24 months, your credit goes up in those time periods, and then all that you put in that CD, you get it back at the end of the term. See, that's realistic thinking. So look, I am so sorry that you guys I froze up and you can't see me. I don't know what's going on, but you know what? I am so grateful that you guys tuned in. I pray that you guys share this thing. I'm gonna take a look at it and see how it is. I really hate to delete it because the information is good. The information is good. You know what I'm saying? So we want to continue with change your thinking to change your life. Employ realistic thinking. Tomorrow will be part 2. We'll give you the other 4 things about employing realistic thinking. You guys share this thing, man. Please share this thing. And I don't say this in a negative sense, even though it might not be for you. It could be for somebody. All my new people that are my new friends, share this thing. Matter of fact, put it on my hit the notification. Hit that notification button so every time I come on that you'll get that notification. And go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Ray Wilkerson Life Change. Ray Wilkerson Life Change. But thank you guys for tuning in. This is Ray Wilkerson coming to you live all the way from here. Where's here? Right here. And like we always say here at Ray's Corner Live, God loves you and I love you. And guess what? It ain't nothing you can do about it. Peace out.